Hey, man.
Oh, hey, hey. I don't know about you. I look forward to Wednesday, the hump day.
Yeah, no, man. I was like totally. I was pumped about this. If I do another Zoom call, oh no, needed a little shot of therapy today.
Wait. This is a Zoom call,
Right,
but
right,
but
right,
but
right.
but very different.
Yeah, but it's Eugene B and me shooting the shit on the other end of the call.
But by the way, I don't know if you noticed, and for some of the listeners that won't be seeing the video, this is starting to get much more produced. I mean, look behind me here, and the
Right.
ones that are listening now on Spotify, and we just got approved on Apple Podcast this morning.
Yeah.
There's a logo now, and we're, Dan Kendall, who actually helped us through the podcasting part. Well, you need to cut out some of the quiet parts, and I'm like, no, this is being produced. And
Right.
so part of that, I don't know what feedback you've gotten, but Marina, my lovely wife, called it the sleeper hit of the quarantine season. So, and then I'll read one more just for shits and giggles. This was a friend in Barcelona. Let me look up so I read it. It's straight from his text. Hold on, getting there. I sent it to you actually, Jim, right? But I'll find it in a second. All right, so this is the review from Stefan. I can only recall 3 series that made me binge watch its first 2 episodes back to back. Number 1, Ray Donovan. Number 2, Michael Jordan's Last Dance. Number 3, Eugene Borhovich, Jim Joyce, SODHT podcast. Boom. I can't hear you. You're now muted, by the way. Yeah.
There we go.
Which was
How's
kind of
that?
nice. It was kind of nice talking to myself, to be honest, at the same time.
Right. I think I'm producing now. Yeah, no, we get the. I think your wife also had 2 bored middle-aged men just shooting the shit. Was the
Midlife crisis, and then we were trying to add, extremely good-looking or charming. She
yeah,
didn't have any of it.
didn't have any
So
of it.
the beauty of all this is that it is unproduced. As far as I have no idea, we only know who we're going to invite, and so I'm going to admit
Right,
our
I
just
guess.
our guest. I'm admitting her now. Come on. So
Drum roll.
Dan Kendall would say you need to cut out that quiet and the noise. So
Right,
and
but he's
but
professional.
very professional, very produced.
Are giving
This
real
is why we
content.
this is why we love him for that. But this is
Right.
just a conversation. Initially,
It,
starting always.
so how's the week? How's the week going anyway? As Jessica drops in and
So I'm gonna unmute her because I think by default I mute everyone, which is perfect.
yeah.
Jess,
Yeah. Hi.
Hey,
we're
hey, Jess.
recording already, Jess.
We are. Where's Matthew Holt? Late as usual.
What
No
else
idea.
is new?
The only thing I've ever seen him be on time for is when the bar opens at any
Right,
kind of healthcare conference. He's usually early for that. He's like standing there in line waiting.
He's quick on the Twitter. He's quick on the Twitter. He's quick
On the Twitter. He's quick at the open bar, but when it comes to other stuff,
Right.
he's got to make an entrance.
So how's the week been? How many interviews you do this week?
Just one this week.
Okay.
So far.
Okay.
It's early. It's early in the week, my friend.
It's early in the week.
We were just saying it's already Wednesday, and I do see Matthew Holt. This is the beautiful part about admitting or not admitting. Should I admit him?
Yeah, let him
I
in.
guess so. I guess so. And the beauty of it is because it's so unproduced, Matthew Holt, let me unmute him because I've been muting everyone by default.
Yeah.
Ah!
Woo!
Matthew. We got him.
What are you saying? Oh, hi. I'm just messing with your heads because nobody else will do it.
Mhm.
Wow,
There he
you
is.
have like a shot glass coming out of your head.
That's it.
Looks
That's
totally
our-
weird.
This is
I
our
like it.
unproduced.
And with
See
the
that?
whole reflection on your ball patch thing, it looks like half your head is missing.
Leave
Like
his
you've had
ball patch
You've had like not a frontal lobotomy, but a what's this? A top lobotomy?
So the reason is, I think
back in the garage.
Back in the garage, but I'm hiding in our digital health therapy office.
Oh, that's really nice. I like the fake plant.
Let me tell you about my child. So I have to tell you about my dream last night.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh, that's where it starts.
So my friend Shira Bell, who runs Care Heroes,
I remember
flew a small plane and landed it in like a grass airstrip where I was. And then she wanted to talk to me. So we took off in her plane because she was going somewhere. It's the only place we could talk. And her plane had like a trailer, like a U-Haul thing behind it. And then we flew up, and then the plane had it was a small plane, had no, top. It was like an open plane. And then the trailer somehow jammed.
Like a convertible.
Fell off.
Convertible
and then
plane.
I fell out of the plane, and I'm plummeting to earth. And I see a guy on a paraglider or a parachute, and I land on his back and steer back to earth, and I land safely with him. And then there's a press conference.
That's it.
What I thought this meant, but
so the beauty
like
of
his
these,
life's out of control, and that but he's got some kind of control. So he fell out of the plane, but he managed to get himself to the paraglider and landed safely, and then he feels the need to talk about it because that's who he is.
But you know what this shows, right? Because we're all here trying to control the uncontrollable. Right. And I actually talking about uncontrollable. So there's the 4 extroverts who all love to talk and speak, and this is like an unbelievable experiment of how this unproduced thing will go with 4 talkers. But I'm actually curious, Matthew. I'm gonna just like pick on you because obviously you've been the biggest critic, but also in a positive way, doing minute by minute. So I don't know who's going to do that. You might have to go back and re-listen to ourselves on that to do a minute by minute.
Should I do the minute by minute now?
Yes.
Tweet is live. 3 minutes were like a waste of some idiot talking about his dream.
Yeah,
it was me breaking down your dream and analyzing it.
But Shira Bell, who actually wrote about the dream too, didn't seem very interested in the role of the dream.
I was going to pick on you, Matthew, because some people say that you are a visionary, and actually, if I rewind back, I don't know that many people, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
It's like when Trump says. People are saying. Made it up.
People are saying.
So you had the foresight with Indu to sell a conference business that I'm actually curious from the 2 of you guys, right? Because I know my team at Bayer before I left said I was at like 30 different conferences in 2019, and I miss it. I'll be frank with you. I know. Both of you guys, Jim, I've been seeing you only at Health Excel events and JPM. But having said that, like, what the hell do you guys think is going to happen after this? And by the way, we can't say all these words because Jim is going to hold up the piece of paper.
I see. There is no Jim. There's just an iPhone.
Right. The video.
I'm going to rename.
So the main reason I like conferences is because you have someone's name tag on there, so you know who they are. And I like Zoom for the same reason, other than Jim has like iPhone. We'll just call him iPhone.
I'm fixing it for
the
you.
Question.
So the big question is, are you drinking more or less because there are no conferences? I'm drinking a lot less, no question.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a purely social. Wow. It's in the afternoon in the East Coast, so he's already on you drank half that whiskey.
I have it handy. This is from my European friends that started a little bit earlier, time-wise. But, it's 2 p.m. here. I haven't started yet, but there's a shotgun coming out of our head.
Yeah, like the expression in Ireland is that they need to open the pubs or we'll all become alcoholics. There's a lot of social. Minute 7. Good joke from Jim. So let's talk health tech conferences.
I'm actually curious prediction? What's going to happen, right? Like to the business models of that. And I mean, look, Joe Schmoes like me and Jim can just, start recording and Zoom uploading to YouTube and people will listen. And I don't know if anybody will pay for it. No, exactly.
It's new.
Well, new. But you've got on the screen, right, the 3, you used to be like a funder of these things, Eugene, and now you're another just random startup guy. But but you got the other three models, right? So if you think about, I had a standard conference business where you basically got people together. You got some people to buy tickets. You got some people to buy sponsors. You got a lot of hangers on and press, and people come in, and you basically had a model where if you got that right, and not a lot of people get it right, but if you got that right, you can actually generate a decent amount of money, money and capital, and then sort of build a sort of community around it, right? Then what Health Excel does, right, is you kind of build the community first, add meetings, and then add stuff around it. But it's like a membership club more. But that's, I don't know. You tell me, Jim, how much of the fact that you get to go drinking with Marty Kelly is the reason why people go to Health Excel, and how much is like the research or the other stuff? It's I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's probably more. It's just a smaller group, right? It started off as a community idea, and then you go drinking, and then you go drinking. You make friendships, you run conferences, you do it. But yeah, it's not completely conference. But the events are critical.
And then you have other events which are not represented here. But actually, Jess, you've been to a bunch of them, which are like the corporate events where it starts out either as a user meeting or some kind of publicity thing, and they don't care if they make any money.
Right.
So, Jess, we went to that one that our friends at Livongo had, right? Signum.
Yeah, Signum. Mm-hmm.
That was, who do they have on? They had the guy who did Everybody Lies. They had the guy, who's the guy that they have who does is it Daniel Pink? No, the guy who was
Pink, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What they paid in speaker fees, let alone Jess's fee for interviewing, compared to what, thank God they went public and lots of money, because that's
the reason they had to go public.
Speaking of Livongo, John Halleck texted me and said, hey, would love to have either Glenn or Jenny on your show. And I said, so Jim and I show, and I said, hold on a second, have you watched it? Dude, don't choke, Matthew, please. look at this reaction. He's like literally choking. And I said, let's talk before we get Glenn or Jenny on. Let's make sure you know what you're getting these guys into.
Oh my God.
Let's take a temperature check though. So what is it, week 4? Is it week 4, Eugene? Are we week 4?
Oh, I lost count. No.
Of your show or of the whole?
No. So for a shot of digital health, this is week 3.
Right.
This is the 3rd episode, so you two should be honored.
Woo!
Top 3.
Hey.
Yeah. No. But since the plague, like, what's the time? Are we 5 weeks in now, or do we down?
We are.
We're beginning of week 7 in California here.
7.
Right. Week 7. Okay. And how are we feeling? How are we feeling? Are we kind of done with it? We want to wrap it up, go back to our normal routines.
I just want the schools to open.
Yeah.
2 people who are like running and we have an au pair girl. And people don't have one of that. Who's been like doing God's work, but
yeah. Okay. So
I've just started talking to myself more, and I leave Holt updates. I've started a new show. It's private. It's called the Jessica DaMassa Self-Quarantine Show. And I report on what's happening here in my self-quarantine on WhatsApp for Matthew.
Okay.
Yeah,
just for Matthew.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I've been telling her they're great. And they're a little bit parochial. So there's a lot of stuff about, I looked out my window and there was a duck.
Stuff happening here. Remember when my garlic clove sprouted into a thing, and then I had to research it on YouTube, and I had a reporter from the scene report on the garlic? Yeah, there's some hard-hitting stuff here.
That's a good way of using digital tools. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk. Does JP Morgan happen next year? Yes or no? What's the vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
People are scheduling stuff in September. So I keep getting invited to things in September. So I don't know. I think it depends where in the country you are.
Right.
But I've gotten invitations to things in Europe and things in some of the southern states of the United States, which are just like
Florida. It's all happening.
Yeah, I have to go there for my haircut.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to Georgia.
I think everything will be in Sweden.
Yeah. Yeah, heard.
I went to a conference in Sweden once. It was very nice. Digital Health Days in Stockholm. I had a great. Hey, but there is an interesting thing, right? So when everyone was arguing about whether HIMSS should go on or not, right? That was that first week of March, second week of March. And I didn't go.
When our president said that he's speaking, I think that was the decision.
They say everything Trump touches dies, right? That was a good example. So there was that, but also at the same time, everyone was saying, well, I mean, many people were saying, I was saying on Twitter, don't give HIMSS a hard time because you've got Disney World's open, the NBA is open, all this other stuff. If you're going to close HIMSS, you have to close work, you have to close schools, you have to close, theme parks, and they all closed. So it actually happened, right? That we went on basically full lockdown. And I don't think even we were arguing about this, at the end of February, very early March, are we really going to do this? And then that day that the NBA started, all the players started getting sick and Tom Hanks got sick, pretty much from then, California closed, and then pretty much it was an effect for everyone else to start closing after that, and maybe New York did it way too late. I see your friend behind you, Jess. But my point is that
he's late.
Conferences is one thing, but you got to look at like the sports leagues, because I see the French just said they're not going to come back for soccer until at least, what do they say, September or October? And the other sports soccer leagues, the NFL is going to figure out what it's going to do. Looks like there'll be no baseball season.
Right.
Maybe something like so, and that's where you get really big gatherings together, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So JP Morgan, you think it's not happening, Eugene? I think it's just some mitigated version. Yeah.
I mean, so January, you don't know what the second wave is going to be. If there's going to be a second wave, what we have treatment. It's hard to imagine nothing out in January. I mean, that's now 8 months out.
But let me ask you guys a question. How many actual deals are getting done at JPM? I'm actually curious. Do you have any idea on how many deals actually? So probably quite a few biotech.
I mean, I think that when you look at those, so if you look at the Q1 reports from Rock Health or Startup Health, I feel like all of that stuff gets negotiated in the run up to JP Morgan and gets kind of finalized while people are there. So I don't know. I always think of it that way. Look at what happened in Q1, and I just attribute it to being that flurry of meetings at the end of the year, and then kind of the deals are sealed at JP Morgan, and it goes from there.
It's a forcing function. That's how I look at it for my company. You're gonna try to announce something, position something, get a meeting that you couldn't get otherwise. So it's a deal making forcing function. Whether they actually get done there, it's so chaotic. I don't know.
But it's also Jim it's a funnel, right? So in the end, I made this up. You're a VC, you're meeting with startups. You're gonna, how many can you cram in? At the end, you're gonna do something because everyone's business is doing something, whatever it is. Yeah. Deal making, producing thing, doing investment, whatever, doing some kind of product launch. You've gotta get down there. So because at JP Morgan or at HLTH or in the old days of Health 2.0 or HIMSS, all these people are there. You're gonna have all those meetings. You by definition, you're not gonna have 35 meetings over 3 normal days, but you are going to have that at JPM or one of those other meetings. So those, maybe 30 of those are a waste of time in the end. You only keep going with 5 of them, but they actually are things that force you together. If you know that forcing function, we need to substitute it somehow.
Yeah.
How? I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, but so in the world we're all closing down, who knows?
So I had this demo the other day of a new video tool set up with tables. And what I loved about it was lowering the volume, right? So you kind of the 4 of us at one table, and then, Jess, for example, sees somebody like Jamie Edwards, at another table on there. And you can turn up the volume a little so you can control as a host. This is it. That's, I think it's going to be a virtual JP Morgan.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah.
No Cliff Bar.
It's funny. We were working. I was getting a review, on something I was working from, and on a company I'm involved with, and the board was saying, "Oh, the cash position's better now, since the plague, right? The cash position's better, and because we're not spending on all this travel and heading to conferences, and we still have underlying demand. So, but I was saying, but the deals we're closing right now were a result of conferences the team went to a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. So this kind of latency of making that relationship, making that connection, it starts hitting you like 9 months later.
All right. Well, we should talk about deals. Hey, Jess.
Talk about deals.
Are you bored with the show? Should we do a better show?
You know what? I think we should do a better show. We have a show. Should we do this? Or are we going to do a takeover?
Go for it.
We're going to take over.
All right, we're taking over.
We're taking over. Move over.
Don't mute us.
Should we? I'm gonna mute myself and.
No,
you should join in.
All right.
You should
join in the takeover.
That's what's to happen, people. The best, everybody's favorite 2 minutes of questions and answers about health technology. Oh yes, it is a takeover episode of Health in 2.00, the April 30th edition.
Okay, are you gonna hum? Shall I hum it? And then I have to drop in. Woo!
The ceiling, and then you got to get sucked back up. That's my favorite part of the whole animation. Is when you get sucked back up.
Luckily, he was wearing shorts.
All right.
Luckily, he was wearing
those shorts.
I was wearing.
Woo!
All right, Jess, come on, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Oh my God, this is our first time doing a digital audience. We've had like a live studio audience at a couple bars before. There was one time somebody passed you a drink at HIMSS. That was pretty funny, but here we are with our first ever digital audience. Set that timer. Let's go.
Oh God,
big deals to discuss.
Oh, I missed it.
It's not going.
No.
Okay, Medici gets $24 million in a Series B round. Telehealth.
Medici, interesting company. I've done a little bit of work with them. Clint Phillips is the CEO, South African guy. He did Second MD before this, Second Opinion platform. And they they're a thing where you as a doctor can it's a thing to take FaceTime, to replace FaceTime and Zoom. It's got all the stuff in it that you as a doctor need to manage your own practice. It's more of a competitor to that than it is to American Well or whomever. Sorry.
Startup comes out of stealth mode. Andreessen backed Tomorrow Health for in-home healthcare. Tell me about this one.
Julie Yu of Cairo now hanging out at Andreessen Horowitz A16Z. She likened this to like revolutionizing primary care at home. She's talking a lot about that. It's basically delivery of stuff to the home that you need for at-home care. It's not the rest of it. There are going to be a bunch of people doing the other part of it as well. But we should talk about soon.
Okay, some telemed smurgy deals. IDC Telemed buys Illume, and SRI funds Decoded to work with Virtuity. What is happening here? It's like another telemedicine. Everybody's becoming a telemed company.
The first one is a merger of like a UPMC service for doing infectious disease control, like a telemedicine thing, with an AI tool, the Illume Health thing, which Merck backed. They both chucked in more money, and that's going to become like an infectious disease control AI thing for COVID. The other one is SRI, this SRI Decoded, which is like an AI-based telehealth thing, which is going to hopefully line up and provide a telehealth service for Virtuity, which is a big medical group which does like anesthesia and emergency rooms and what have you. So what's happening here is that kind of like the AI tracking of who's going to get sick and the telehealth bit and the services of the doctors are all coming together. You're going to see a lot more of this stuff as we have to figure out how to live a care when we don't know anything.
HIMSS launches the Digital Health Indicator.
Oh, we just got there.
She squeezed it in.
I've been dying to talk about
but
this.
This is the reason you want to talk about this is because else. This is why you're doing it here. Go on.
This is the new MRAM. HIMSS has invented a new survey to administer to hospitals to judge their digital health readiness. They are selling this thing. This is how they're going to offset that lost conference revenue. Matthew,
well, I will tell you about the official part. Then Eugene can tell me how impressed he is with this. We should go for it. So MRAM,
I was going to say how many hospitals will survive though?
EMR adoption module, right? HIMSS made some money selling the idea that you could say you were a stage 5, stage 6, stage 7. This was incredibly popular in
other countries.
The Emirates and God knows where else, but a little bit
in Europe. We saw that in Europe.
Australia is so popular down there.
But really, you guys should. Jess, how impressed are you with HIMSS's new definition of digital health? Because they're certifying that you've met their definition.
Okay, so HIMSS' definition of digital health is just like a bunch of words that basically ends with like any service, any digital service or tool that helps you deliver care. So I kind of think that like me with the right kind of spreadsheet might qualify as a digital health company according to the HIMSS definition.
Jess, you were looking up your garlic producing and how it grows and the impacts it has. That's digital health.
I mean, right there, according to HIMSS, level 2 on the digital health indicator.
so what happens to the word digital health now, where everything's
oh my God, don't get me started, because I have a whole rant about this, because truly these words are meaningless. Like you can look at like, I mean, so HIMSS launched out a definition. The Digital Therapeutics Alliance has a definition, and to define digital health, they've got to define within it digital medicine, and then within that digital therapeutics. And it's like based on the level of, you know, clinical validation that's happening, like, so things can get reimbursed better. Then the World Health Organization, I think it was last week, they issued their digital health guidelines, and they've defined digital health. But wait for this. They have to go all the way back to e-health. And then they define health, and then they define digital health. I'm like, oh my God, like these words are just meaningless.
But again, the visionary in my bottom right below me, has defined SMAC health, right? That's the best one. Definition of
that's because the collective noun for a group of jellyfish is a smack.
Exactly. Look, we learned that. ATA, I think we learned that.
It's all about. Come on, it's all it is. It's all about trying to extract more. That's the sad thing here, is that when you've got software which should make stuff scalable and cheaper, the people doing digital therapeutics are trying to extract more money out of it. If you look at when something was available as a consumer thing, it was like $100, you know, or $20 a month or something, and now we can make it a digital therapeutic, and it's now thousands of dollars a month. They're trying to get on the same path.
So hold on a second. I'm going to dig in on that. Who's charging thousands a month? Because I still think there's no real model that's been defined on pricing. Like I'm actually curious, like Silver Cloud Health, like you know, what are they charging?
I agree. I don't know. We should ask James. All the Irish guys stick together and share pricing. But if you looked at a key, Brian Dolan in his E&O newsletter had a bunch of pricing. I think it was a Keeley, and like before and after, it was like I think it was $80 a month, and now after it was like $900. I mean, it was like a factor of 10 for the same thing, or maybe it was Big Health. I can't remember. It was one of those digital therapeutics companies. I don't know. It strikes me that it's that the buyers should be saying, you know.
Pricing. I feel like pricing's all over the map right now. Like pricing, like we see all kinds of digital health companies giving their stuff out for free right now with COVID-19. Oh, sorry. And like,
you said it. You now don't pay up. Yep. There we go.
So we see all kinds of free stuff going out right now, which makes me a bit nervous. Like a lot of the governments are getting people to kind of respond in their, you know, contribution to society, but these companies aren't profitable. And then we see anywhere where the doctor is still involved in the appointment, it's full fees, you know. So we've seen lots of markets with full fees, and you know, I think like Silver Cloud's been around forever. They've kind of cracked a business model. Like can't speak to the specific, you know, pricing model, but they've got something working. It's a per member per month.
But in the end, right? Less so in Europe and Asia, but certainly in the US, what this whole thing is exposed is that the way we pay the healthcare is totally stupid, right? Now you're saying, well, hospitals at the time we need them the most are all going, their revenues collapse by 40, 50% because they're not able to do the stuff that they make the money on.
They make money on, right?
Most uses, like all that elective surgery, most of which is overuse. And primary care those folks are all going bankrupt because they were only making money by seeing people in their office. When we know we have the tools to do primary care at home or, you know, remote monitoring or surveillance or whatever. So hopefully after this, there'll be a proper discussion about how do we change the payment model totally. Whether it'll happen or not, I don't know, but that would be my hope.
So the one thing I took out today, and remember, I'm the timekeeper. We're trying to keep this below 30 minutes based on your suggestion, Matthew. So the one thing I took
drinking as well, drinking.
That the jury is still out if HIMSS is going to be able to make money on MRAM, because who knows how many hospitals will survive. And two is that it's possible to do a show within a show. So that was pretty awesome.
I just interviewed you in the middle of that Health in 2.0. all right, if I did a WTF Health interview, in the middle of that Health and 2.0, in the middle of a shot of digital health therapy, we would have had what did you call it, Eugene? The turducken of digital health shows. It would have been like it would have been a bomb that just kept exploding.
Like a vortex.
How many made up shows in recent
black hole.
The last thing I'll say, Jess, I love that sweatshirt, WTF Health. And I'm sure Marina would love it too. So hint, hint.
Thank you. Thanks. A little blingy. Got to represent.
It is.
All right.
Listen, another unproduced. This was awesome. Thank you, people.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward
Matthew,
to the next
Jessica,
Wednesday,
thanks
Jim.
for taking over.
Jim.
You've made the lifting
You've
easier.
hijacked your show. We'll give it back now.